sending a new prescription. So I will use a different patient. Let's use Mary Paltrow. Let's look for her. So as soon as and within this test environment, I have test pharmacies and things like that, and you may notice that there's a lag, so I want to apologize ahead of time. We are using our dev server, so at times it kind of just wants to hang out. So it's thinking now. And before I go in and prescribe a medication, there's a couple of things that I want to point out that is on the information page for patients. Okay, so I want to take a look at, you'll see this option where it says ePrescribe consent. This is specific to medication history. So if you want to receive medication, or rather send out a request and receive medication history from a PBM, you do have to come in and set this parameter to yes. Okay, so if it is set to no, which that is the default, then when you attempt to send out an actual medication history request, it's going to give you a message saying that it is not able to send. So you want to make sure that that is set to yes if you're looking for medication history. The other thing that you would want to do is to make sure that your preferred pharmacy is selected. A lot of times the workflow of offices that I've seen is that, of course, at the time of registration, front office would go in and they would make sure that all of this information is taken care of prior to the patient going back. So looking for a specific. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'm going to select the pharmacy for this patient. And just for testing purposes, I have to use specific pharmacies. So I'm going to choose this Englewood. And I'm going to set it to her preferred. This will be her preferred pharmacy. So at the time of prescribing, if the patient for some reason says, hey, well, I gave more than one pharmacy, and I don't want it to go to the CVS that I gave you, but I know I also gave you the Walgreens. You're able to select preferred pharmacies for the patient and build a list of favorites for that patient. So you're able to have as many as you want. There is no limit. So a lot of times I'll sense that maybe we'll have 2 primary retails and maybe a mail order. You can have all of those displayed under the preferred pharmacy. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And I will save her record. Okay, let's go ahead and let's take a look. And what I'm going to do instead of going, I'm going to just prescribe through the medication list via the face sheet. Charting, nothing has changed. Basically, the flow is still the same, and it will open the same windows that you're going to see when we go through the face sheet. So we'll take a look at the medication list. I'm going to click on that. Okay. Main changes in this window, you'll have a new tab that is View RX Benefit, and we're going to come back to that. That links back to your eligibility. We've changed the wording in regards to reconciled medications. I believe it said it used to be a longer statement, so we had to straight up because we had to add a new button, which is called Save and ERX. And this Save and ERX button is basically where it's going to allow us to then transmit to SureScript. So you'll see that in a moment. So I'll go ahead and I'll do prescribed medication. So these steps are basically the same. Nothing has changed here. And let's go ahead and let's do medication for prescription for Lisinopril. Okay, choose my dosage. And right now what it's actually doing is it's looking to see if there is any eligibility information for this patient. So it actually is doing a check, because you'll notice over to the right, the formulary box popped in some information. And since this patient didn't have any eligibility done, because I didn't do any eligibility and it has no information, it comes back with plan name unknown. It should say unknown. and then it will say generic if it's generic, and then if it's RX needed or over-the-counter, it will tell you that. So this right here, you'll see that information. So I'll give you another scenario with another patient in which it will give you formulary information. And the feedback on that is, of course, you are able to see all of that information, time of prescribing, there's no guessing, you're able to know immediately, does this plan cover it or not, and what are the alternatives? We get all of that information in this section. So I'm going to go ahead and just really quickly populate this information. And you'll notice that we have another field which is called, this is a new field, it's called effective date. You'll also notice that we have a statement that says for office use only. And this is going to be an internal date that you guys can use to mark this prescription. Let's just say that the patient was given samples and they're not actually going to probably start the medication until a specific date. You can go ahead and mark that. It will not transmit to the pharmacy. What will transmit to the pharmacy is the written date. So that information is not changeable. You'll notice that that's grayed out. So for documentation purposes, you have the effective date to be able to use to give that additional information. We also changed the layout of the options. Hasn't changed the options. You'll have maintenance drug, brand name necessary, samples given. So they're the same. We just changed the layout just to accommodate for spacing. Another field that was there previously is a comments field. This is for office use only. So you can put a note in here, patient's going on vacation, anything that you need to basically update so that, just to give you additional information. Then you'll have the prescriber information, and you'll have the pharmacy note. The pharmacy note will transmit to the pharmacy. So this is how you can communicate to the pharmacist. Okay. So I'll just put something in there, and I'll go ahead and I will click OK. So you'll notice that it puts itself, medication is now listed on the medication list. You have the option to remove if you needed to. If you realized, wait a minute, something's wrong, not that medicine, you can go ahead and remove it. But if that is the medication we want and everything looks good, you would come down and hit Save and ERX. In this window, you'll notice where it says Confirm Medications to Submit. So this is the window where we're only handling electronic transmissions. This is not where we would handle printing the prescription. The other thing to point out is you'll see that it has Englewood Pharmacy. This is the preferred pharmacy. And just so you know, being that this environment that I'm in right now, this does not have the latest code with all of the changes that we've had to make, but we have also added the pharmacy name within this section so that you're able to see that even at the time of prescribing. You don't have to wait till you get to this window, so we did add that information there. If you needed to change the pharmacy, you can do that by hitting the search option, which is right over that little globe over to the right, and you can go ahead and search and change the preferred pharmacy if needed. Let me just go back. It's going to refresh my window. Here we go. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that the pharmacy name is going to appear to the prescription. If you hover the mouse over the pharmacy name, you'll notice that it gives you the details for that pharmacy. We've also updated this information in the latest code to let you know which one is the main number and which one is the fax number. So we've done little changes there too. The purpose of adding the pharmacy next to the name is if the patient, for some reason, they wanted maybe the prescription for lisinopril to go to Englewood, but maybe they had another prescription, but that one needed to go to mail order. You're actually able to go in and change that prescription, that pharmacy for that prescription. So you can have more than one prescriptions and you can have more than one pharmacies. So let's take a look. I think one doctor that I spoke with, they really liked that feature. He said, you know, mail order, they want that one to go to mail order, but the other one to retail. So I will just quickly do another one. Let's do, let's see. I'll just quickly add these in here. So here is the one that I just did, diflucan and lisinopril. The Avista was there from before. So what I'll do is I can select each one of those, and then what I'm going to do is change one pharmacy so you can see what I'm referring to. So see how when I hit the pharmacy link, that name, it brings up the patient's, this is the patient's preferred pharmacy list. So I'm going to add another pharmacy to add to preferred. So now I have 2 preferred that are listed here. And with this one, let me just save so you can see, I have both my preferreds, and I want this particular drug to go to script. So see, I have the option for script now listed, and then I have the one for lisinopril going to Englewood. Okay, so at this point, those 2 are the ones that are going to be transmitted. I have to hit confirm, and this actually will give me an overview of what's being sent, so that I have one last moment, one last chance. If I had to make any changes, I still have the opportunity to do. So I would verify all of that information. Here are the 2 meds. Diflucan is going to script, and lisinopril is going to Englewood. And at this point, I think it looks good. I would hit prescribe, and that actually is the trigger to send it to SureScripts. You'll notice that the status shows at the bottom of each one of those drugs. You're able to see that now each one of those are showing as pending. So we don't have a refresh on this window. That's something else that I'm working on. But what we would do in the meantime is if you were to hit the label of prescription action, if you hit that, it actually refreshes your window, and you will see that it is showing as successful. Those meds have now been transmitted. Now, if I needed to not send it electronically, and if I just needed to send it, if I needed to just print, then I can go ahead and I can actually print the prescription if I needed to. You'll notice that down at the bottom, I have my service location, my print format. This basically should look familiar. I can go in, I can choose that, and then I can choose the printer that I want to send that to. So at this point, I'm not going to print anything, but that is the actual transmission process for sending your new prescription. There's nothing else